chapter 52. There's a saying in Chinese that goes never forget. Never forget how much rice you eat. It's a reminder to stay humble, to stay real. Just because you have an important job doesn't mean you're better than everybody else. You still eat rice like the rest of us. Well, that security guard, he definitely forgot. He let the power of his position go straight to his head, and he used it to do horrible things. I wondered if that's what happened to Uncle Zhang's boss, too, when he took away everybody's passports. At the thought of Uncle Zhang, I felt the stirring of hope. Did he give the letter to his boss yet? Uncle Zhang called us from a payphone 2 days later. You'll never believe it, he said into the phone. The letter worked. I'm free. He told us that when he showed his employer my letter, the guy freaked out. He couldn't believe that Uncle Zhang had found an attorney or at least someone who was able to write a good enough English to help him. He got really scared and immediately gave Uncle Zhang back his papers. Not only that, he gave all the other workers back their papers too. It was the most incredible feeling ever, knowing that something I wrote actually changed someone's life. As my mom and dad and I cheered and congratulated Uncle Zhang, my eyes slid to the closet where the printout of the essay contest lay. Maybe, just maybe, I could change our lives too. Okay, kids, get your pencils out, Mrs. Douglas said in class. We're writing a story again. This time I want you to write about a small moment in your life. A small moment? You mean like a moment that didn't really mean anything? Someone asked. Quite the contrary. A moment that meant everything, Mrs. Douglas said. Think of a time when you were ecstatic or terrified and really zoom in so we know exactly what it felt like. I stared down at the paper of white paper in front of me. My head was like a train station. So many stories buzzed in and out. I thought about all the things that happened these last few months, all the miracles and heartbreaks. A chorus of voice flooded into me. Some days, my body was completely inside the dumpster, and all you saw were these two little legs kicking in the air. Uncle Lee said. I kneeled before them, holding their hands as they talked about their Chinese maids and how don't they all steal, Aunt Ling said. I don't know why she slapped me. All I was said to her was, Hey baby, said Uncle Feng. When people looked at you, they see a nice, sweet Chinese girl. When they look at me, do you know what they see? A criminal, Hank said. I borrowed the money so she could die knowing her only son was okay out there. That I made it in America, Uncle John cried. Even if you're American, you are still you'll still be my sister. You'll always be my sister wherever you are. It was this last voice, Shen's voice, that begged, Let me out. I wriggled, hoping the feeling would pass. I didn't know how I felt about Mrs. Douglas, knowing that much about me. And yet, I couldn't stop thinking about it. That snowy day in Beijing, how hard it was to step on the plane, how the first thing we did when we arrived was take a shower. I'd never seen a shower before, a private shower, not like those group ones in the bathhouse in China. In China, there was a bathhouse in every neighborhood, and everyone went. Sometimes I'd even seen my teacher there. There was awkward, and then there was taking a shower next to your teacher's teacher awkward. Those days are over. Here we have showers. My dad's friends had bragged when he picked us up from the airport and took us to his apartment. And you can even open your mouth in the shower and drink the water too. It's clean here. You don't have to boil it. That first day, I stood in the shower for almost an hour with my mouth open, drenched in bliss, gulping down the deliciousness as the water rained down on me. Afterwards, when I looked in the mirror, guilt itched my eyes. Had I just traded my cousin in for a shower? I wondered. The word gushed out of me. I remember what Lupe once said about drawing. how it was all in the detail. I closed my eyes and tried to recall every color, sound, and smell. I wrote in such a trance, nearly jumping in my seat when 20 minutes later, Mrs. Douglas declared there were only 2 minutes left. I looked down at my river of words. Then I glanced over at Jason next to me. Panic seized me. The words were so open and exposed. My story looked like a belly button. I immediately wanted to cover it. Then I remembered something. The itching and wriggling like a spider was crawling underneath my skin. I'd seen it somewhere before. Where had I seen it? Oh, yes, I remember. It was on Uncle John's face when he told us he was a modern slave. It was on Hank's face too when he finally opened up to me about why nobody wanted to hire him. And look what happened. Their lives changed. If I wanted my life to change, I too needed to get past the itchy, wriggly feeling. Okay, guys, Mrs. Douglas said. Who's finished? I took a deep breath and raised my hand.